Derrel Jazz Johnson, MSG Varsity, Fulton Sons Magazine, RazzandJazzSports.com. I'm here with ESPN's Doris Burke. Doris, how are you doing today?
Superb. So excited to be part of MLK Day on ESPN. Just a great day in our nation's history. And for me, no better way to celebrate that one with great basketball.
What are some thoughts that come to mind when I mention the name Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. to you?
You know, I always remember one quote about sort of drawing people together, and it was not by Martin Luther King, but nonetheless, it's one that's always stuck with me. That idea of being five separate fingers, but as united as a fist. And the United States is always at its best when we celebrate our diversity, but we act as one nation.
The NBA has been playing games on Dr. King Day for decades.
Yes.
What's the significance of the NBA celebrating his life with a slate of games on the day honoring him?
Well, that's a great question. I think each and every player that we've ever spoken to about Martin Luther King talks about the sacrifice and the patience and the persuasiveness of Dr. King and the influence all of those things had on their life. And I love that they remember that you can look back and know that your history is as important as what your future is holding for you, and that there are people who had a direct impact on your life, even though maybe you never met them.
Quick question about the two teams playing today. The New York Knicks and the Brooklyn Nets are both having what most would call disappointing seasons, which makes a lot of New Yorkers unoptimistic. Which team has the better chance of turning things around? Which team should New Yorkers be most optimistic about?
Well, I think it's a great question, and I don't know that I'll answer it long term, but what I would say is you have a New York Knicks team that the next 7 games are here, and it's all of them are against opponents that they can win and beat. And so I think the most important thing that can happen is they start to generate some momentum. This is the longest homestand in NBA history against teams that you know you've got a chance. And if you can build some momentum, now is the time. And it'll be interesting today because you're going back to Pablo Prigioni and Raymond Felton in the backcourt, which slides Carmelo to the 4. So first time we'll see him at long stretches at that position as opposed to 3 or 4 minutes. So I'm anxious to see that. On the other side, you've got a Nets team that's played really well. What a story Shaun Livingston has been. The extraordinary comeback from injury. He's earned the trust of his coaching staff and players. How fun is that? But you're trying to reincorporate Deron Williams. So what is the impact Deron has now on the chemistry that's been established, and can they sustain momentum? Both teams clearly have an opportunity. The East is not what everyone would have thought or hoped, so I'm anxious to watch the next 3 or 4 weeks for both teams.
Thank you very much for your time, Doris.
My pleasure.